just right. Test, test, test. Oh, man. Hey, guys, this is Bruce, and welcome to Convocourses Podcast, where we talk about cybersecurity, specifically about cybersecurity compliance. If you don't know what that is, it's basically, well, other names for it is GRC, or governance, compliance, and risk. And it's a part of cybersecurity that's really not talked about. That's one of the most important, arguably one of the most important parts of cybersecurity. It's not hacking. It's not. It's not known programming. It's not CSI. It's not forensics. It's a whole nother part of cybersecurity that people just don't talk about, but it's actually needed as much or more than all cybersecurity combined. And that's no exaggeration, because everything we do basically behind the scenes is done by security compliance. And this is a great opportunity to get involved with it, especially if you're trying to get into this career field or if you're trying to level up. And I get a lot of questions every week from people who are trying to get into it to make this money and to be recession proof, like myself. They see some of my old videos where I traveled the world doing this work, making six figures, working from home. It's a different kind of lifestyle, and I'm really blessed to have had it. I'm really blessed to have this life. I mean, I have problems just like everybody else, but the difference is I make six figures and I work from home. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Life's gonna throw you all kind of crazy curveballs and all kinds of stuff, but it's nice to know that at least one part of your life is all right. The money aspect is cool, and that's been the case for me. It's also allowed me to not only travel to different places from other jobs. Like the current job I have is not allowing me to take their laptop outside the country. Don't get it twisted. Like not every job is like that. When you see me in Philippines or you see me in Thailand or something in some of my old videos, not every job is like that. Sometimes it's like they want you to work remotely, but you have to stay in Virginia, or they want you to work remotely, but you can't leave the country or something like that. And that's the case right now. I can only leave, but I can't work outside the country. Anyway, so I just have all these opportunities to not only travel the world, make pretty good money, but also to start businesses. I have so much expendable income, so much extra income, so much available credit that I can use other people's money to start businesses. I can do real estate on the side. I can, and because of that, I'm really good. And I'm trying to get, the reason why I do this partly is because I want people to know that there's another way than to struggle the rest of your life. I want people to have the same level of freedom that I've been afforded, and the same level of opportunity to just, nobody's going to come and give you anything. We have to get it for ourselves. And I'm working for people who are in my same boat, who are trying to go take care of their family, and make a better life. Do you feel different? I know. It's been a hell of a journey. I have not had an easy life by any stretch of the imagination. But there's this dude named Alex Hormozy who said something really powerful. He said, no matter how bad you have it, somebody had it worse than you and they did it better. Meaning, yeah, I grew up poor and I struggled, but somebody else grew up more poor in a poorer country, and they're now a millionaire at age 30, right? Age 20. So you can't use that as an excuse. You can't use that as a reason why you're not going to succeed, because somebody else did it. And that right there should give you pause. It should make you think to yourself, okay, I can do this. If this person over here can do it, I can do it too. And that's got to be your attitude. Somebody said, I'm breaking into cybersecurity industry and will obtain a security plus soon. What's a good start? So that's a good start, getting a security plus. But really, you can't focus on, what I always encourage people is, don't focus on degrees. Don't focus on certifications as much. Well, I'm not telling you not to get one, but that's it's two sides to the coin. You want to get that certification or that degree or whatever, that's good. But also you want to focus on getting experience. So as you're getting that security plus, Start working on projects at your house. Start working on if you happen to work in retail, start trying to do IT at your retail job. Start trying to. This is easier said than done, right? But you got to start somewhere. Talk to the IT guys that are in your profession. Um, if you're in college, do apprenticeships, do internships. And the reason why I say this is because most employers in this field, they want you to hit the ground running. They want you to actually be able to know to do something, not just know something in theory, but they want you to be able to do something. So what I did when I was taking my Security Plus, when I was taking the CISSP, when I was taking the A Plus certification, when I was going through all these certifications, what I would do is I would use the curriculum that they have in there to learn the actual content. Like if I was on a section that talked about firewalls, I would set up a firewall in my house. And there's different firewalls. There's free firewalls that you can download on your computer to do a host-based firewall. There's firewalls that you get, there's actual appliance firewalls. You can get a cheap one off of Craigslist or off of eBay. There's virtual firewalls that you can mess around with. There's all kinds of methods and ways that I'm not just talking about firewalls. You can do SIEM technology, IPS IDSs. You can do. You should definitely learn the back end of operating systems. Command line interface. You should learn some scripting languages. There's many different aspects to this career field. Just passed my CISM. Congrats. CISM is a boss ass certification. Like literally, like some of my bosses have had a CISM because it's a management, information security management certification. That's just really good. Congrats, man. Congratulations. I got my Security Plus and my master's. I know Python, SQL, and struggling to get even a basic system admin. So what I would say, negative vibes, aptly named. I like your name. So what I would say is shoot for right now. Cast your net wider. Okay. So what I mean to say is when I got out of the military. Now I got out of the military. I had experience. I had a certification. I had degrees. I knew a lot. I was versatile. I knew a lot of different things. When I got out, I had to move to another state. I had to relocate. I took less money. I took less money than when I got out of the military, and I had to travel something like, I think our travel was like 65-70%. We were traveling a lot. What I'm trying to say is when you first start out, you got to cast your net wide. You got to be willing to take what jobs are there so that you can get your foot in the door. This is just how I did it. Now, there might be other ways. I'm noticing a lot of gurus saying, oh, yeah, just take the CCNA and then go past that and then just go apply for a security, a network engineering job. I don't know if that works. That's not, in my experience of actually being the person interviewing and the person being interviewed. They're normally looking for somebody with experience who they can trust, somebody with skin in the game. That means experience. That's what you're really looking for, unless you're doing an entry level position. And in IT, entry level is deceptive because they're going to want you to come in when you see entry level. There's like, oh, entry level with 3 years experience, entry level with 2 years experience. Like the whole point of you getting in was, it's frustrating, right? But what I'm trying to tell you to do is get in, cast your net wide, and do whatever it takes to get that first job. It could be a desktop job. Swallow your pride. I know you're smart. You got Python. You got SQL experience. You got a Security Plus. You got a master's degree. Swallow your pride and cast your net wide. Any job you can get right now is getting your foot in the door. And then what will happen is, if you're really good, you're talented, you come into a company and you're entry level field tech 1, you'll have opportunities within that company to level up sometimes, right? And when I say cast your net wide, you have a master's degree. You might be able to get something like an apprenticeship where they're saying, okay, look, after 6 months, we got to test you out, but after 6 months, we're going to try to bump you up into this other role right here that's a little bit higher, because we need somebody who's like a supervisor. So, just cast your net wide. Don't be what I think what happens a lot of times is people have a misnomer of they have a misconception of what it of being in the cybersecurity or IT. They think that they have to get into this system. They have to get into a business with the role that says cybersecurity support, cybersecurity consultant, cybersecurity. No, the the actual role name is irrelevant at this, especially when you're starting out. Because the company can name it anything. They could call it a cybersecurity analyst and give you a database management job. So right now you just want to get in your foot in the door into an organization, and you want to get the experience on your resume or on your profile on LinkedIn, on Dice, on Monster. And then you can start using that experience as leverage to get a higher paying, better job. And so that's kind of that's been the method that I've used over the years, and it's worked for me. So for some of these gurus saying, "Oh, just get a CCNA, just go stop sweeping those floors and go get a CCNA." It's just not realistic. Now, if you happen to have been, I would say, a cable guy. If you are a cable guy and you went and get a CCNA, I'm like, okay, well that makes sense because that's in line with what you're already doing. If you know anything about network security. Okay, I got some stuff. Somebody's saying Jaime Perez says, Jamie, is it Jamie or Jaime? Okay. Hey, Bruce, hope you have an excellent day. What's worse is that they won't provide opportunities unless you know people. Very similar exclusive behavior as fraternities. Know someone to get somewhere, and what are your thoughts? Okay, so I've actually addressed this before, and most of my jobs have not been from people I know. Look at me. Do I look like a fraternity guy? I'm a military veteran. I look like I look like somebody's accountant. I look like I don't know a lot of people. I'm a shut-in. I don't have many friends. I've got this many friends that I can count on my hands. I don't have any much friends or family to speak of. I'm a very lonely person. I don't know many people. Most of the jobs I've had, out of the 10 jobs in the last 7 years I've had, I jump from job to job. Most of those jobs have come from me applying online. What I've done is, what I do, Mr. Perez, is I apply for jobs with my resume. Like, I have to rely very heavily on it because I just don't know a lot of people. That said, I have gotten jobs. A friend of mine, Gigi, like she got me. Man, I'm mad props to Gigi, man. She got me a job at NASA, and that was a horrible job. That was a horrible job. It was one of my most horrible experiences ever in a career. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I was thankful because I was getting paid. I was working from home. It was it paid the bills, and it was like a dream to work for that organization. But that was one of the few times that I knew somebody who said, hey, they vouched for me. Oh, actually, no, she got me. We worked together at NASA, and she got me a job at Verizon. That's what happened. My bad. Okay, I'm remembering stuff. But anyway, that's one time. There was maybe 2 or 3 times somebody got me a job, and then there was a time I worked for Northrop Grumman, and I left that job after about 1.5 2 years, and I was doing cybersecurity. And then a friend of mine, my old mentor, called me up and said, hey, we got this job opening for cybersecurity information assurance type stuff. You want to come back? And I was like, I came back, and that was another time. So it was maybe 2 or 3 times out of like 10 jobs that I've had. Most of the jobs, Mr. Perez, was me putting my resume everywhere. So what I do is I look at the market, right? I look at the market, and then I get a niche market within, say, cybersecurity. This will work with anything. This will work. What I do will work with anything. It's just like what marketers do, like professional advertisers and marketers. What they do is they look for a need, So they like think backwards. They don't say, oh, I got this great idea and I want to sell it to people. They say, what is something that people are looking for? What is the demand that's out there? Like, let's say people want metal cups. They say, well, I see that people are looking for metal cups. I'm going to make a metal cup with a cool logo on it. And then that's how they do it. So they reverse engineer. So that's all I do with my, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, what you'll see is a very, very targeted profile. And the reason why it's targeted so well is because I looked at the market for what people are looking for my genre, for my career path. So I didn't just look for all cybersecurity. I said, okay, that's too broad. My profession is two things: security compliance, specifically NIST cybersecurity framework, NIST 800, and then the other one is cybersecurity analyst work. Those are the two things that I do best, and I have the most. I could fill that my resume out with those two things, because I've just done it so many years and have so many certifications that apply to it. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do lines up with those two things. So I'm like, okay, how can I get what are the best keywords for this market, right? What does this market look like? So I looked in those markets, and for cybersecurity compliance, I noticed what they were looking for, where there were two main ones. Like, you've got all kind of compliance. You got PCI compliance. You've got HIPAA compliance. You've got Sarbanes-Oxley. You've got all the COBIT, all these ones, right? The top ones were NIST 800, Risk Management Framework, and probably ISO 27001, right? Now, ISO 27001 at the time, I really didn't have any exposure to it, but NIST 800, yeah, I've got a lot of exposure to that. So then I'm like, okay, what keywords do they want for NIST 800? And I found out it was NIST 800 RMF, that exact key phrase. It was things like system security plan, because they want somebody who can come in and help them to manage their system security plan. They wanted people who knew vulnerability management. So that's another key word, vulnerability management. They wanted somebody who would help to remediate. They wanted somebody who could do security policies. Those are some of the keywords and key phrases that I noticed in the market that they're really looking for. So I made sure that all that stuff was on my resume. The next thing I did with all those keywords, key phrases, is I put that resume every fucking where. Don't excuse my French. That's what you got to do. Put it everywhere. I put it on dice.com, on monster.com, now be warned, once you do that, it's going to flood you. You're going to get all of these people coming in and contacting you. And a lot of them are irrelevant, and some of them are scam. Like maybe 1% are just flat out scammers from India or something. No shade to India, but there's a lot of fake technical recruiters out of there. So you're going to get hit up by a lot of technical recruiters from India that are legit, from all over the United States. Tech recruiters, human resource offices, all kinds of stuff are going to contact you. So you got to be careful. So be warned, if you put your stuff out there, you will get contacted. Be careful with your personal information, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I put my resume out there. Then I start getting people contacting me. Now the problem is sorting. I got to sort through, okay, well, who do I want? Do I want this? Do I want that? What kind of job do I want? The magic is you can do this as many times as possible. You can do this as many times as you want. So I have two different resumes at one time. I had two different resumes. I had one that was focusing on my NIST 800 career path, and another one that was focused on my cybersecurity analyst work. And so I was getting different, and to this day, actually, I still get different contacts for each one of those things. So that's kind of what I did, and this is without me knowing anybody. I don't know a lot of people. I'm not very well connected at all. Most of my contacts these days come from people on the internet nowadays, and they're not trying to hire me. They're trying to get information off of me. So every now and then I'll get a contact from this site from me doing this. Every now and then it's gotten a little bit more frequent over the years. Probably the last 2 years I've gotten one or two. But most, I would say, comes from me just putting my resume everywhere. And then maybe the second tier would be people who know me, who say, hey man, would you like to work here with us or something like that? And that's pretty rare for me because I just don't know a lot of people. When I go to a job, I'm not there to make friends. No offense to my coworkers, they're dope. My coworkers are awesome. They're very knowledgeable, but I'm not there. I'm not there to make friends. I don't, I'm not telling my business. I'm not talking to them. I'm not telling them about my, I'm there to work. That's it. You know what I mean? I know that sounds cold and messed up or whatever, but I'm there to work. And the reason why that I'm so strong, I feel so strongly about that is because I don't want it to mess up my life. I want to separate my personal life. This stuff I'm doing, I want to freely talk about whatever I want to talk about. And I don't want it to the government who I work for to say, hey, why are you saying this? Why, what are you saying? Are you saying this? I'm being a Boy Scout. I don't talk about any kind of cyber. I need this job. I'm not saying anything I shouldn't be saying. I'm not exposing any kind of proprietary information, nothing. But you guys don't even know who the hell I work for. So I keep those two things separate. Now, every now and then, now this is getting more popular. People are contacting me, and say, hey man, I saw is that you doing these lives on? So anyway, yeah, I'm not making a lot of friends, so I don't have a huge network of people. I just don't. I mean, even though I've been doing this 20 years, I'm like somebody said, high and by. That's it. I come in, I do my work. I mean, we might talk about the weather or something, and every now and then I got some. I have some very close friends that I met from work. Very, very close friends, but it's rare for me. I maybe have literally one or two that I could say that I could sleep on their couch. I'm sure. We're friends. Like they slept on my couch. I could sleep on there. It's very few, maybe three people. Yeah, that I can think of off the top of my head. After 20 years, like that should tell you something. I'm not a very social dude. My personal life is different from my professional life. Okay, let me see. Separation of church and state. That's funny. Let me see here. Let me see. I'm going through all my TikTok stuff, and I apologize. I got a lot of people on YouTube, on TikTok, asking questions and stuff. So I kind of try to jump back and forth. And this is open topics. I don't have any agenda at this time. At some point, I'll get back into teaching like I used to do, and do that kind of stuff. Leo said, do you think it's worth to still go for a CISSP? Stop here. I'm at CISM, CASP, PIN Plus, and Security Plus. Leo, I would say this is just my personal opinion. It kind of depends on what you want to do. I would say it depends on what you want to do. If you want to go to the management route, you're good. The management route, you're good. The CISM and CASP are the equivalent of a CISSP. You have a master's. I believe you said you had a master's degree. Now you kind of just want to build up your leadership experience. The CISSP would be a good thing to have. I mean, it would kind of just be a notch in your belt at this point. It's not gonna swing things one way or another, because the reason why I say is because most of the jobs that would require a CISSP would also take a CASP, a CASP, and then, or if they'll take, because that's a professional level cert, so those two are considered equivalent. So I would focus on just if you were trying to go the management route. Now, if you were trying to go into, let's do a couple of things like so if you were trying to do pen testing, like let's say you have Pen Test Plus, right? If you were trying to go deeper into the pen test field, then you probably want to start working on a professional level pen testing cert, like the OSCP or something like that. I would probably go to a CEH first and then OSCP. Or some kind of a Kali Linux certification. If you were going that route, if you're going into a deeper into security compliance, then you would want to figure out what framework you want to focus on, and then focus on that framework and then get a certification in that framework. Like there's this ISO 27001 certifications you can do. There's NIST 800 certifications, like the GC, the GRC, the CGRC certificate, which I have. I'm struggling with the name because they just recently changed it. It was called a CAP when I first took it. So it depends. Let me see. Somebody said, what certifications do you need to enter cybersecurity? So what you really need to enter cybersecurity is not necessarily just a certification. You need experience. You need a solid IT experience. So if you have no IT experience, you need to get it. That's your first step. And if you can't get into that, the first thing you need to do is get the IT knowledge, and then build from the knowledge, build your IT hands-on experience. And then once you get proficient in IT, then you'll start to actually get more experience in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a component and a feature of information technology, if that makes any sense. So that's why help desk is probably one of the best beginner things that you can do. Then you want to start talking about some sort of certificate to get into cybersecurity. If you can get or already have a help desk job, you are already doing cybersecurity. You just now need to put it on your resume properly. A lot of times people say, man, Bruce, I've been doing help desk for a long time. I can't get into this. I can't level up. I can't. And usually it's their resume. So they're not marketing themselves. Cybersecurity IT guys are not marketers. They don't think like a marketer, and that's what you got to think like a marketer. Like marketers, they look at the market. They say, what are people looking for? What are people looking for? What are the keywords that they are looking for? And then you become a supplier of what they're looking for. And you do that with your resume. That's what I do. And that's why I get so many offers constantly. Opportunities, I should say, not offer. Offer letter means like, hey, we'll pay you X amount of dollars. When can you start? Not the offer letters come after several interviews normally. So an opportunity is just like people saying, hey, would you like to work remotely for this position? It's 100% remote. We're working out in New York. Hey, would you like to come to Colorado Springs? We have a job here. So those are opportunities. Those don't always pan out. How would a Latina, said for context, get into cloud data security after the CompTIA and Security Plus exams? So there's, I've had people really get on me about this, and I think that this is a hot take, and I know it's controversial, but this field is so hungry for talent that they do not give a damn what you look like. They don't care about your gender. They don't care about your race. Is there racism? Yes. Are there people with preferences and who will look past your resume if you have a less than Anglo-Saxon name? Yes. Yes. And will you get in an interview and then they see you and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that happens. Like, I'm not saying racism doesn't happen, but what I'm saying is overall, the market we really need people to do this work. In the last 5-6 jobs I've worked in, we are starved for somebody who has the talent to do cloud computing, CompTIA, A+ security plus skill sets. We need anybody, and they don't care if you're a Latina or if you're a Black man or if you're an Indian or whatever. That said, there are racists, there are people with bias, there are people with stereotypes. Yes, all that's true. But what I'm saying is overall, the market just needs somebody. So where do you start is your question. How do you get into cloud data security? So I would say, first of all, if you have no experience, you got to learn basic information technology. I would recommend CompTIA A+ to start to learn. If you know nothing, if you're coming from a whole different field, then this is what I did. I'm just telling you guys what I did. When I first came in this field, I did a Security Plus. I did a CompTIA A+. A CompTIA A+ that told me how computers work. Now I was a bit of a geek myself. I was taking computers apart, putting them back together. So I had an idea of the components and how they worked. I had an idea, but I didn't know the names. I didn't know how it all fit together. So that's why I recommend people do an entry level if you know nothing. Now, if you already are a computer person, if you already did help desk before, maybe you have an A+ certification, or you don't, but you have the skill set and you wanted to get into cloud, I would recommend doing entry level cloud certification for Amazon, because Amazon owns something like 30 or to 25% of the market. So I would do an AWS cloud certification, the entry level one. I would do that. So that would be what I would recommend. But as far as you being apprehensive about them not wanting a Latina, or if you're black or whatever, don't worry about that. That is a waste of your time and your talent. Focus your mind on just getting that knowledge. They gotta respect. You know what I've learned about this field? They might not respect me as a black person. They might not like black people, but what they do respect is my knowledge, and that's how I come at them. People think a certain way about you when they first see you, or when the way you dress, or whatever, right? What's gonna slap them right in the face is when you open your mouth and you start spitting that game at them, and you show them that you know your stuff, and there's nothing they can say about it. And if they don't want you, then it's their loss. That's how I feel about it. If you don't want me, it's your loss. I'm dope. I'm fire. I'm gonna work my ass off for you. I'll work on the weekends. I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. That's just how I am. So if you don't want me, it's your loss. It's your loss. You wanna hire this scrub because of his skin is lighter than mine? You're an idiot, and I don't want to work for you anyway. That's how I feel about it, and I feel very strongly about that. They're not gonna respect me as a black person, but they're gonna respect my game. They're gonna respect my knowledge, and that's the same thing with you. They're gonna respect, like, if you come through there and you're doing the work of fucking 5 people. Okay, let me go. You go hire 5 people. See how that works out for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gotta respect your work. So, and if they don't, they're idiots. They're stupid, and they don't deserve you. Some companies know nothing about cybersecurity. All they need is a person to fill the position. And those are the types of people that pay me well, because those are the types of people who pay me well. So the people who don't know anything, the companies that they're trying to fill, they don't know. Like, their documents are there. They have something they don't know. Like, those are the people I serve very, very well. Because when I come in and I tell them, nah, this is how you do it. When I was working at NASA, this is how we did it. When I was working, I'm giving you DOD, Department of Defense, Pentagon game. I'm getting you on that level right there. Here's how they did it. I'm telling you. And then they're like, oh, okay. Oh, my bad. And then they listen, and if they don't, that's their loss, man. As a cybersecurity person, I don't get butthurt about them not listening to me. I'm like, hey, listen, you're paying me to give you that knowledge. Like, if you don't want to take it, it's up to you. But I'm telling you where to go. You don't want to listen to me. You want to listen to some scrub. You want to continue to do what you guys been doing for the last 5 years that hasn't worked. That's up to you. I'm here to help you. Okay, let me see here. Maybe I'm a little rough around the edges, but this is just how I really feel about this field. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm passionate about it because I've been doing it. Like, I know I know what I'm saying because I've actually done it. And so if somebody questions that, they're questioning 20 years of experience. And sometimes I take it a little personal. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna sleep well at night. I did what I was supposed to do. I came and did what I was supposed to do. And if they don't want to listen, then that's up to them. I'm working on my degree and certification. Is call center tech support a great entry level job? At this point, if you don't have any experience, I would say take what you can get and then level up from there. When you get into that job, don't think that you're going to retire from that job. One of the misconceptions I had when I first started getting into IT, I got out of the military. And I was thinking, oh man, I'm going to work for this company. They're going to take care of me. And they're going to, man, was I wrong? These companies, I'm not trying to be negative, but the companies don't care about you. There's a few great companies out there that do care about humans, but most, I would say 90% don't. They care about their bottom line. And when you get into that call center tech support job, think to yourself, what is my next step? What's my next play? Think of this is chess, not checkers. When you get in there, just be thinking to yourself, what can I do next? I got the role. I'm getting paid $25 an hour. What is my next step? Is there a job within this field, in this job, in this organization? Can I level up from here? Can I be a supervisor? Or do I want to be a supervisor here? Maybe not. Maybe the working conditions are not good. So be thinking, okay, well, I'm going to stay here for 6 to 8 months and I'm going to level up. I'm going to take my skills from here. What can I do at my job as I'm taking these calls, walking people through how to set up their router or whatever? What can I put on my resume? You need to be playing chess and making your next move. Where are you going to move this pawn? This is strategic. You've got to make strategic moves when you get in there. So yes, I would say that's good, especially if it's entry level. You know, obviously if you're at help desk and you're a supervisor now, go into a tech support job, call center is not probably the best idea. Like, you want to level up. What does the road to 200K look like? So why say con? I would say it depends on how you're trying to do it. For me, it looks like business. I've hit 200K a couple times, and it wasn't from a job. For me, it wasn't from a job. It was from a combination of both active and passive income streams. Let me explain. So my job makes about $130,000. You might be thinking, you know, I had one of my coworkers like 130. That's not money. You know? I was like, okay, but like I have a side hustle that makes like 60. You know what I mean? Like, so 200,000 is realistic if you have multiple streams of income. Like I have. I got some real estate on the side. I've got some that's doing okay. You know, it's like we'll see where that goes. And then I've got this little gig, and I sell books. Like, I have this extra income coming in that makes it so that I don't have to really rely on active income from my job, making 130K a year. That's what it looks like to me. But there's some people, like somebody says a sales engineers make 200K OTE in cyber. Yeah, there's some people I know who make 200,000. There's a director, one of my old mentors. He became a director. I'm sure he's cleared 250, maybe even 300 by now. I've got some friends who were making 200 like 10 years ago. You know, yeah. So there's jobs that will pay you that amount of money, not even working in FANG. That's like Facebook, or now it's Meta. It's like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, all those guys, Netflix. They pay that kind of money so they'll pay you. It's not 200,000. What they don't tell you a lot of times is sometimes it's not 200,000. Sometimes it's like 280, but they're going to give you X amount of shares, and those shares are worth 20,000. But then they also give you some dope medical benefits, and those medical benefits are worth 30,000 a year. And then they also give you all these incentives. With everything together, it's reaching 200,000 or more. That's really what they don't tell you. That said, those shares can be worth millions. You know, if the profits for those shares go up, you could be looking at way more than 200,000. So it looks like 200,000 the path to 200,000 looks different for everybody. I would say for me, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to just have active income. I'm trying to have multiple streams coming in to where, you know, this pot gives me 30, this one gives me 20, and this one gives me 130. This one, I might do a side gig where I make another 30,000 after working with this other company for 2 months or whatever. So that's what I've been like last year. That's what I did. Last year I cleared 200,000. It was probably like 230, something like that. I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of taxes, man. I had to delay my taxes. It's gonna be ridiculous. Anyway, but it's I'm scared. I had real estate. I have a rental, couple rentals. I have this stuff when I'm selling books and stuff. I've got online courses and things like that. And then I was making my full time job was making like 120, 100. At the time, actually, was making 160. And then I quit that job and then had another one, a part time job, and that was making like $80 an hour. And so I just had all these different income streams coming in. And when I add them up at the end of the year, it was over 200,000. So that's another great thing about cybersecurity. Like don't think of it just one way. Like a lot of people think I'm going to get in this company and they're going to pay me 180 with benefits and everything. Nah, like there's many different ways to do this. All right, let me see. I got some other linked user says, "Hi Bruce, hope all is well. Always enjoy your lives. Thinking about getting back into the game, even though I never got that far before. What was your path, if you don't mind me asking? What were you doing before? What was it? You might not want to do this. I mean, you might have some better opportunities based off of what you're doing. I met somebody who one of my coworkers was telling me, she might be watching me. She was telling me, hey, I'm thinking about doing cybersecurity, security engineering and stuff. And she was doing like she's like a manager type job. And she said, what do you think about this course? And I said, and I know what she does. She one of my coworkers. I said, you should probably do project management. And she's like, project manager. I was like, yeah, project managers make X amount of dollars. Like they make 120,000. She says, that's not really that much. I said, first of all, I disagree. That is a lot of money for most people. Secondly, her career path lends itself to making more than that because she already has this. She's already doing what project managers do. So she could put that on her resume. And once she gets that PMP, the certification for a project manager, she'd be making like 200,000 or something because she could put it on there as experience because that's literally what she's already doing. D. Barry says, what other app are you on? What other app? I'm on to do these lives. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. YouTube. I think that's it. For a while, I was doing Twitter, but I don't really have any traction on Twitter. And then I was on what's that other one? I can't remember the name of it. Oh man, what is it called? Tumblr. I was on Tumblr and I had 8,000 followers, and these guys canceled my account. They canceled my account, and their reason was really dumb. I'm like, wow, just out of nowhere, just bam, gone, disappeared. And I protested it. I was like, hey, why'd you guys cancel my account? They were like, I think it was because I was reposting things. I was like, isn't that what you're supposed to do on Tumblr? They canceled my account. That's why your stuff sucks, Tumblr. You got rid of porn. Big freaking mistake there, Tumblr. And then now you're just terminating people's account for no damn reason. So good luck with that. You suck. Is there a lot of opportunities for part-time remote? It depends. For me, there has been. It looks like because of the way I word my resume, because the way I word my resume, I think that's why I get so many opportunities for remote work. If you follow me, a lot of times I'll give out. I already have a remote job, so I don't. I can't keep applying for remote jobs. I mean, I'm trying to stay in one spot and have some stability. So I just give out those jobs. If you're on my newsletter, about once a week or once every other week, I'll put out my these opportunities that come to me that are remote. So there's tons of them. I mean, probably once a week, I'm getting 3 or 4 a week. And so I'll just package all those together, put them on my newsletter and say, hey guys, here's some contacts for you. So are there a lot? There's so many. There's so many. Not all of them you're gonna get into, and I noticed they're very competitive. So once you start applying for them, you'll find that 100 people have already applied for it. So you got to like constantly get in there. Let me see. Bruce, lead me into cybersecurity program. I've been thinking about it. IT, information technology as a whole, this field has been growing like crazy, I would say. And so a couple of the big benefits for this job has been security. It's been stability. What I mean by that, there's been I've been married. I'm on my second. I've been divorced twice. Okay, let me just tell you the disaster that's happened in my life. I've been divorced twice, right? One of them took like a gigantic amount of my money for years. We've been through 2 recessions. 2008. I've been doing this since 2008. I'm a single father. It's what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to get sympathy. I'm trying to tell you this hasn't been easy, but what has helped me out to retain a great lifestyle and remain okay is that I've been able to continue to take care of my family because I have this awesome job as a cybersecurity person. I've been shook emotionally, but money-wise, I'm good. And it's because I have this career field. I'm in a career field that's been taking care of me and my family and my fucking ex-wives, for that matter. I've been doing good. Like I've been able to travel to 15 different countries. I've been able to start 3 or 4 businesses, right? Of which 2 are doing really well, right? Now businesses work, and sometimes they just work for some time and whatever. I got real estate, and all of that is because of cybersecurity, I would say, right? And writing, like I'm a pretty good writer, so writing in cybersecurity. So if that doesn't sell you, I don't know what is. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I say, like I got 99 problems, but a job isn't one. Like I can always get a job within, and if I can get a job within a week, if I'm willing to take whatever. If I really want the best job, it's going to take me a couple of months because I'm very picky about it. So it's just it's incredibly stable in any environment. And it's opened my whole world up. It's opened up my whole purview, my whole world. And because of this career field, I've been able to do a lot. I owe a lot to this career field. That's why I do these videos, because I want to tell other people about, hey, you can do it. Like all hope is not lost. There's something you can do. It's got a bit of a learning curve. There's pros and cons to it. Some of the cons include there's a learning curve. It's not like other jobs where you can just walk in off the street and just start doing it. There's a certain body of knowledge that you gotta learn. You gotta learn the basics of IT and build on top of that. Another thing that's difficult is once you get in, specifically with cybersecurity, a lot of things people don't talk about is that it can be very stressful. Like it's not technically stressful, but emotionally you're dealing with people's and organizations' emotions. Like sometimes they are really upset about stuff, and you got to have the emotional maturity to deal with that. So that's a con. Like that's something that's not talked about. Another thing is another thing that's bad about it is that it takes a while to get into it. It takes a while. You're not going to just hit the ground running. Like you have to put the time in to study and then actually get experience hands on. It's not just knowledge based, but you got to get tactile experience, like meaning you've got to touch the computer and figure out stuff. And it takes a lot of patience to do that kind of stuff. Now, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody. IT and cybersecurity is not for everybody. I tell you that right now. There's a ton of other jobs you might want to consider before you even get to cyber IT in general. Like there's other things you can do that are adjacent to and make as much money as cyber. One of which was project management. I'm surprised more people don't do it. But if you want to make money, you don't want to do the technical aspect of it. Project management is a great way to go, and it makes as much or more than IT and cybersecurity. So this is not for everybody, but if you do happen to get, if you are in this field, holy crap, man! I not only have I made good money, but it's been stable. I've been able to travel. I've been able to start businesses. Because I'm good. My family has been taken care of. Let me answer some more questions here. Looking for some more advanced questions. Cheeky Mama, thank you for asking that question. That was a great question, by the way. Let me see. What certifications do you recommend for cybersecurity analyst entry level role? Good question. Cybersecurity. I did cybersecurity analyst for a few years. And what they're looking for is somebody who, there's certain tools that, there's a couple things, okay? I'm going to tell you about some tools you can use, some certifications, and possible degrees. Let's start with the degrees. So any degree that's STEM will do. That's STEM means science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Any one of those degrees will do. They're mostly focused on your hands-on experience with computers. How much do you know about computers? That's what they really want to know. So if you have a computer degree, that helps you because you already have been messing with them. But STEM, they'll take any of those. Okay, so that's degrees. Get that out of the way. Certifications, the ones that are good for cybersecurity analyst work, the best ones, in my personal opinion, from what I have seen, has been the SANS courses. The dudes who SANS guys are really sharp. It's an open book test. It costs like $10,000. It's not cheap. It's very expensive, but those guys really know their stuff. Those SANS courses, that would be GCIA, GCIH, incident handling certifications. Those are really good. There's forensic certification. I believe one's called GFE, JFS. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a forensic certification from SANS. Any of those are great. Those are the top, in my opinion, the top. There's some other ones that people will accept, but they're just not as targeted or good for cybersecurity analysts, but they're marketable because people don't know what the hell they're doing. The people who hire don't really know. They don't really know what certifications are good. The GSEC ones are really good. But now I'm going to tell you about the ones that are marketable. CISSP, CEH are two of the most marketable. Security Plus, very, very marketable, meaning everybody knows what they are, very popular. And you can get hired for a security analyst position with those certifications. They're looking for those. They'll accept them. Does that mean you know anything about security analyst work? No. No. But it's very marketable. So those are the certs. I would say they're some of the best ones to get. Other honorable mentions would be some of the hacker certifications like the OSCP will probably be good. Some of the vendor level certifications will probably be, if you can get certain tool certifications that I'm going to tell you about right now. Certain tools for a cybersecurity analyst position that are really good to have would be any kind of SIEM tool, if you know those and have a certification. And a SIEM is a security event information manager tool. It gathers all of the logs from across a network and puts them all in one, aggregates them in one place, puts them all in one place, and makes it so that you can do correlation. Like say, okay, this IP came from this firewall, and then it went to this switch or router, and then it went to this system. You can do that kind of stuff because it pulls it out. Anyway, so SIEM technology, anyone will do. It's from Splunk to ArcSight to QRadar to all of them. Any one of those will do. Because if you know one, you kind of can figure out any other ones. And then you know things like regular expression, or you have some exposure to regular expression, which you would use on something like you would use something like that on Splunk. Other tools would be PCAP tools that will take the data from a packet and break it apart, like Wireshark, WinCap, I think it's called. WinCap, I think it's called. Those kinds of tools, forensics tools such as FTK and Encase. If you have a vendor level certification on those are lends themselves to you getting yourself into an analyst type position. Other tools would be kind of off-brand, unrelated, but very, very relevant to cybersecurity analyst work. PCAP, yeah. Thanks, Abdullah. I appreciate that. Another tool that lends itself to this field would be cyber threat intelligence tools such as Recorded Future, and there's a bunch of open source tools that you can use to find threats that are out there for a company or whatever. All of those tools, and there's many more, there's hundreds and hundreds, thousands of tools, but those are the main ones that I have had exposure to that I noticed are very marketable. That if you put that on your resume, if you even know it, if you're familiar with those, like you will get attention for those things. So I hope that helps. Let me see. More questions. Jay says, I also added for those who want to get into cybersecurity to get a cloud cert. Lots of organizations are utilizing cloud, and it is different. It's a different animal than traditional on-prem systems. Yes, cloud. Jay is absolutely correct on this one. I'll speak on this for 1 second. So, last year I was on this run. I just quit my job at Verizon. Great job, great people. They treated me right. They paid me good, but I was too much travel and I had some stuff going on. So I had to move jobs anyway. So I applied for a bunch of jobs. I was looking for a remote position, making, $100,000 a year, whatever. And then I got about 5 interviews. And of my 5 interviews that I had with these companies, 4 of them asked me about cloud. They asked me, "Oh, well, what? I noticed you put cloud on your resume. What do you know about it? Can you tell me about? Do you know this particular brand of cloud service? Do you know this?" And I was like, I don't know. So what I put on my resume was that I knew how to get cloud systems accredited because that's what I had done using FedRAMP. So I put that on there, but all it needed was that one keyword, cloud. And all of them, out of 5, 4 of them asked me about my cloud experience. And I had to be frank with them. I had to be honest and say, well, honestly, I don't know the technical aspect. I've never set up an OU. I've never set up I've never set one up from scratch. I'm not an AWS expert here. But yeah, Jay is absolutely right. If you can get to know cloud stuff, man, your resume is gonna be set on fire. Right now it's hot. And the way these trends work is it changes from time to time. Let me see. D Berry says, I just started in tech support for a mobile phone company. They have a lot of opportunities on once I'm permanent. That's awesome, D Berry, man. Congrats on that. Congrats. That's how you do it. You get your foot in the door and then you start leveling up, and make sure you when they're going to offer you things like, hey, we'll pay for your certification. Take advantage of it. We'll pay for your degree if you take advantage of that. That we have some on-site training, like you can just sign up on this site and go learn about cloud stuff. Take advantage of it, because anything you can learn while you're there you're gonna be able to use that as leverage for your next job, and it's gonna help you out with that next job. And another thing is the tools. So you're going to go to this company and they're going to expose you to a bunch of tools that they use regularly, and you're going to have to use those tools. And those tools, you want to put those on your resume. They'll be like, okay, we want you to back up this Cisco system. We want you to back up this Juniper router. We want you to, I'm trying to think of some tools. We're using this tool called Iron Maiden to secure all of our phones, So when you put that on your resume, what will happen is, other people use Iron Maiden. I don't know if that's a real product. I'm just making stuff up. other people use that same product. And when you put that on your resume and say, yep, I know how to use Iron Maiden, I know how to use Splunk, I know how to back up a Juniper router or whatever, then other people use that, and then those recruiters are going to see you, and then boom. And then D. Barry says, that's true. We had PCI training that I just got the certificate on. Man, that's great. Put that shit on your resume, my man. Because PCI compliance is how you get into what I do. So that's one of the security frameworks. And you put that shit on your resume, man. Put that on your resume. And then if you know PCI compliance, newsflash, you'll be able to know, you'll understand things like NIST 800, ISO 27001, Sarbanes-Oxley. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but if you know PCI compliance, they all kind of line up. All of those frameworks line up. They all have a set of common best security practices that they all use. So once you understand that, once it's in your head about access controls, about authentication, about multi-factor authentication, the importance of it, how it's implemented, why you need to have it, training, security awareness training, segregation of networks, and all that kind of stuff. All of that stuff you can see in ISO 27001. You can see in NIST 800. They're all just security best practices. Is all it is. So if you know one, you kind of know all of them. If you know one really well, you kind of know all of them. So put that on your resume. What's the best route for entering cybersecurity field? I get this question like I'm going to answer this one last because I've gotten this like 4 times already. What is the easy? Is it easy to transition from physical security management to cybersecurity? That's a great question. So actually, when I was in the military, my first job was a security. My first job was security. I was a security forces member in the Air Force. It means I'm an MP. I was an MP. I was a cop. And mainly my job was security administration, which is physical security. We protected aircraft. We were weapons specialists. We protected personnel. We did physical security checks on facilities and things like that. That was my first job. I did that for 5 years. I learned the Uniform Code of Military Justice, how to arrest somebody, escalation of force, use of deadly force, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't for me, right? I get it. I respect police officers because of what I went through. It's hard. It's a very thankless, hard, difficult job. You're a first responder. You see crazy stuff. You see the ugly side of humanity sometimes. You have to respond to people and they're having a domestic dispute, and it's not pretty. You have to see people at their worst. It's a difficult job. That's why I don't shit on cops because that's a very hard job. That said, there's some bad cops for sure. There's some people who should not be police officers, that's for sure. And I hate when they try to defend those assholes. But it's a hard job. So that's what I did. I was doing physical security management, and I cross-trained, or I changed jobs. I transitioned from physical security to cybersecurity. And is it easy? For me, it was because I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I was a nerd when I was doing physical security. I was obsessed with computers. So I had I bought my own computer. I built my own computer. I was into gaming. I would swap out cards in my PC. I was really into it. So it wasn't a hard transition, but I will say there was a huge, huge, huge learning curve because I had to learn all the terminology. I had to put all of it together and see the landscape of IT. Was what I didn't understand at the time, is that there's a whole landscape there. It's not just building PCs. It's like, okay, now that you've built this PC, how do you protect it? Once you connect it to the internet, here's all these threats that can attack you. What's the difference between a modem at the time when people use modems? I'm dating myself, but modems, what's the difference between a modem connection, a DSL connection, and a network LAN connection, and there's all this terminology and all these things you have to know that are it's a lot of information. So I took probably, when I transitioned, when I was in the military, it took probably 4 months of just learning and then cramming information into our heads about Unix, about Linux, about Word, Windows, about how the differences between POSIX operating systems and 386 architecture, and what, like, there's just all this stuff you need to learn. There's a huge learning curve. And it's really not for everybody, because it takes a lot of patience. Anybody can do it, but it takes a lot of patience to learn it, to pick up on it. Once I got in, coming from my physical security background, having done that for 5 years, I was legitimately a professional. I could have got out of the military and became a legit police officer, because I knew how to do all that stuff. I knew how to shoot. I knew how to a 9mm, a rifle. I knew all of that stuff, combat, everything. So I'd done it for 5 years. But when I transitioned into computer information technology, I noticed there's a lot of parallels between physical security and IT security. And some of those things, they translate very well. For one thing, if an information system doesn't have physical security, it has no security. Because if you could touch the system, any system, a phone, a laptop, a server, switch, whatever, if you can physically handle it, there's so many ways to get around the technical, logical, so the logical protections that are on it, if you can physically touch it. So physical security is at least as important, if not more important, than actual logical security. You have encryption and things like that. So if somebody gets your iPhone, can they extract the information off of it? No, but they can destroy it. They can destroy it. There's things that they can do to disable it. There's stuff they can do with it. So there are protections, but physical security is super important in cybersecurity. It's a part. As a matter of fact, it's a part of cybersecurity. Physical security and environmental protection is a very, very, very important part of cybersecurity, just so you know. So actually, those skills that I have actually help me to do physical security checks. I would go to another organization and we would be assessors for a system, and I would be doing physical security checks. I'm like, okay, I know that the fence is supposed to be this high. I know that you should probably have lighting here and here. I knew that, these are the kinds of physical security check devices you have on doors, and these ones don't work too well, but these ones do. And here's how you set up an alarm system. Did they set it up well? Let me see. Nope, this one's wrong. You could probably bypass it with this and that, so that helped. And then another thing is things like chain of custody, forensics. Oh Lord, forensics is a lot of different parallels between investigations and cybersecurity. There's so many different pairs, especially if you've gotten really deep into physical security, into the investigative side of it, the CSI stuff, like that stuff. Like if you go into CSI, that's cyber crimes division. Your skills as a physical security person, your skills as a law enforcement person, or even if you were in the legal profession, they translate very, very well into investigations. Someone transitioned from physical security to cyber. What course for somebody who what course do you recommend to start off with? So what I started off with, I'll just tell you my story. So what I first did, I was a police officer, and my first degree was it was criminal justice, right? And into my 4th year, I knew I don't think I want to get outside and be a police officer. I don't think I want to do this. Even though some of my buddies to this day, they're doing physical security and they're doing all right. They're making pretty good money. So I personally just didn't want to do it. It just wasn't for me. So the first thing I did was I transitioned I went into information technology as a degree program. I transferred some of my degree credits from criminal justice to a degree in information technology, a bachelor's degree. So the first thing I did was I just inundated myself into learning information technology. I took it up on myself. I did self-study to go ahead and do that. So that's one thing you can do. You don't necessarily have to have a degree, but it will definitely help you out. It'll help you to focus your mind on just learning information technology. Another thing that I did was I went into learning all of the components of information systems, the components of every server, every computer, every laptop, every phone, everything is your RAM, your memory, your storage, right? Those are the main things. Everything else is kind of extra. Whether it connects to the internet, whether it has a Wi-Fi connection, all those are components. So I had to learn all of that. And a certification that helps you to learn how all those pieces fit together is the CompTIA A+. I'm just telling you because I took it. I took the CompTIA A+ to learn the technology, to learn how computers work. And it kind of put everything together for me. It kind of wrapped it all up and said, here's the field. Here's the common body of knowledge you really need to know. This is something I'm saying for somebody who doesn't know anything. If you already are a geek, you already are a gamer, you already do this, you don't need an A+ certification. Go to the Security Plus. So, and that's where I'm going next. So once you have a real strong understanding of computers, now you want to specialize in something. I would highly recommend specializing in computer security, but there's also cloud technology, there's application security, there's all kinds of fields that you can get into. But you, as a physical security person, cybersecurity is perfect for you because you're already going to know some of the terminology. You're already going to get it. It's just going to click to you. It's just going to click because you're going to understand things like access control. That's not a new phrase for you. Access control is not a new phrase for you. You know, you're going to know things like auditing. You're going to know what that is. You're going to be like, oh, auditing. And then they're going to explain like, here's how you do auditing for a information technology system. You're going to understand logging. You know, you're going to understand like whenever you had to do physical security checks, you had to like go in a logbook, say, okay, at this time we checked these facilities, we did this and that. Like, or when people come in, you had to do personally identify a personal check of them. They have to, you have to make sure that when that person comes in, you have some way of identifying them. To say, okay, let me see your ID, let me see this, and you take it, put it in a logbook or whatever. You know, all of those things are in IT, but they're doing it in a logical way. Like some of the terminology is not going to be it. You're going to recognize it. It's not even going to be different. And so this is coming from somebody who did physical security management and then went into computers. And I'm telling you, a lot of the phrases, a lot of the concepts are the same. And that's why I think that a lot of military people smoothly transition into cybersecurity, because if you were in the military, you had to know a lot of the physical security terminology, and some of that stuff is still in cybersecurity as well. So it's just like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I understand why you need to have this. No problem. No problem. Let me see. I got a few more questions here. D-Berry says, yeah, my goal is to get into compliance, and my manager asked, what's the difference between PCI and OSINT? I may have misspelled it, but I answered it correctly. I feel that was the seed I needed to plant. It was a seed I planted. Yes. So that's D-Berry, man. You're going the right direction, man. This career field as doing compliance, it pays really, really well, and it's evergreen. And this is another thing that, like, what you find with all these gurus out there, a lot of them are like, yeah, they're talking about hacking and stuff, or forensics, or AppSec, or application security, and knowing software engineering, all that stuff. That stuff is really cool. It's fun. Those guys are so clever. I admire them. They're awesome. And I do some of that stuff on, for fun. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. when you do that, whether you're a professional that knows, like you're a firewall administrator, or you are a server administrator, or you whatever, right? That technology changes almost daily. Daily might be a little bit exaggerated, but at least every 2-3 months it's changing. At least every 2 months. And I'm not exaggerating on that one. It's got security patches constantly coming out. It's constantly evolving. They'll change the user interface. You got to constantly learn that stuff. If I write a book right now, here's how I'm reluctant to write any very technical books. I've written many books, but a lot of them are not super in the weeds technical. And the reason why is this. Because if I write a book right now about Splunk, and I break all the things down, all the components, I have screenshots of Splunk and all that kind of stuff. Or if I did Tenable, it'll probably be a better one for me because I know that one better. As soon as the book is done, they've changed the damn interface on me. They recently changed Tenable. Like, it recently changed. So it's not evergreen is what I'm getting at. But if you do compliance changes probably every 5 or 6 years, sometimes every 10 years. And it depends on the framework. Give you an example. NIST 800, which is a security compliance framework, rules. It's a set of rules. That's all. It's a fancy word of saying it's a set of rules that say, yea, verily, all federal government systems will do X, Y, and Z. That's all it is. So these rules changed probably 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. And it was NIST 837 version 1, and it changed to version 2. And before that, it had been, 10 years that it changed before that. So it changes like maybe every 6 or 7 years. And then then the changes are, I can't say they're minor changes, but the changes are like not to where you got to learn a whole nother interface. It's just like, oh, we added these controls. We have cloud controls in there now. See, there's AI controls. They're going to add AI controls eventually. They're going to integrate AI, artificial intelligence, into it's going to be probably NIST 837-3, and NIST 837 version 3, and it'll be NIST 853 version 6 or 7 or whatever, and they'll include machine learning and artificial intelligence and cloud computing controls or something like that. But they're not going to change auditing. That's still going to remain the same. And they're not going to change access controls. That's going to be the same. There's a certain fundamental engineering things they're not going to change because those things are still necessary. And so that's why, like, this field, like, that I'm in, I still have to be up on the latest, especially with the job I'm doing now. I still have to be up on, like, I'm doing a lot of vulnerability management type stuff. But when I've done pure documentation, when I've done pure security policies or stuff like that, I'm not having to learn a whole nother interface or something. That's what I'm talking about. So, do you think Google security certification is worth it? I can't speak on it. I don't have one. I've heard good things about it from people who I talk to on here. They say, oh yeah, I took the certification and I have a job making 40. I don't believe that you're going to take that one certification and make 100. I just don't believe that, but is it helpful? I think it's helpful to learn the basics of IT, but I don't know that how marketable it is, because whenever I go to if you go to LinkedIn and type in Google certification, there's not a lot of job people looking for that certification. But if you type in CompTIA certifications, there's going to be a lot of employers looking for those. It's not very marketable, I will say that. Is it a bad certification? No, I've heard of people getting jobs from it, but don't believe the hype of people making 100,000 off of one certification, unless it's like the CCIE or CCNP or a professional level cert that also takes years to develop to get your feet wet. what type of position should I be entering? What kind of position should I be entering in college? And if I want to do security, I would say, Haven, any kind of computer cert, but I mean degree, any kind of security degree. But what I would recommend is what I did. So here's what I did. I would recommend a bachelor's degree in information technology or a bachelor's degree in information system. And let me explain why. Because usually if they say it's an engineering, if the name says engineering or science, if it's a computer science degree, then what that means usually with most of the curriculums is that it's going to be a lot of programming. Programming gets very hard. I'm not saying don't program, do it. Like, do you? If you like programming, if you really like programming, do that. Computer science. The reason why I suggest doing an information technology or information systems degree is because I'm currently in computer science. How do you like it? How do you like it? The reason why I took information technology is because it was a lot of writing. It was a lot of theory. It was a lot about organizations. It was a lot of, we did some technical stuff. Like we had a class where we put firewalls together. We did networking. We did some stuff like that. But we weren't doing a lot of programming. I think I might have had an entry level programming where we did like HTML or some weak sauce programming like that, something like that. And my thing is like, I'm trying to, what you're trying to do, and this just my 2 cents with a degree, is get your mind in you're trying to learn the landscape. What's the lay of the land? What is a common body of knowledge? That's what you're trying to do. Programming, unless you want to be a software engineer or a developer or something like that, then by all means do as much of it as possible before you get out. But if you're just trying to get a job in cybersecurity and make some good money, get a bachelor's degree in information technology. It's an easier certification. For me, it was easier because I can write. If you can't write, if you can't do papers, if you can't, and then probably maybe go to something else. But for me, it was easier because it was just a lot of writing. And they were like, wanted to do some essays and you wanted to, it wasn't super technical. There was technical stuff there, but it wasn't too overwhelming. I would recommend that. Other than that, any kind of computer degree will do to get into cybersecurity. And the reason why I say this is because most companies and organizations, they're just trying to check a box. They want you to have a bachelor's degree in X or an associate's degree in X. And usually they're looking for STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They're looking for one of those and experience. If you get into computers, if it could be database management, it could be computer science, it could be computer electrical engineering, whatever it is. If you're working with computers on a regular basis, it's going to be highly beneficial to you because you've been working on computers for X amount of years in college. And another thing is that you'll be able to do internships with your computer skills. More apprenticeships and internships and stuff will open up to you because that's what you're doing. That's your profession as a double E in computer science or whatever you're doing, computer science, whatever it is. So that opens up, and you've got a networking experience because what you're in that class, networking as in social interactions, because you're going to meet somebody who got their degree, graduated, and got a degree at DuPont or got a degree at Ernst & Young and got a degree, and you'll be able to reach out. A job, they got a job at Ernst & Young or DuPont or whatever. And you'll be able to reach out to the person and say, hey man, like, do they have any other job openings? And they'll be like, no, but they got some at Northrop Grumman, so that's another great opportunity for you too. So any kind of computer degree, in my opinion, having worked in this field for some time. Let me see. I got some more questions here. I'm interested in coding, not just math, really. I started I'm starting to get interested in security, however. That's great. Coding is awesome. Like I, I think coding is really, if you have the skill set, if you have the patience, if you have the mind to actually do coding, it's really really good. Especially if you specialize in something. If you're a coder and you specialize in game design, if you're a coder and and you're an artist, if you're a coder and you know math really well, if you're a coder and you know security, they need people to do these things. I'll give you an example. So in my job at Verizon, we had a guy who he was a coder and also was a security guy. We leaned very heavily on him because we had to have scripts made to pull in client client data to run do analysis on the scans. Like we would have these different systems that would run a scan, and we have like a, a gig of spreadsheets that we need to pull in, and he would write this code for us. And then this dude knew, he was really smart on cybersecurity, so he knew like what to look for. He knew like Tenable scanner, for example, or the Nessus scanner. He knew like what the fields were. And then he knew programming to where he could write the code to take it, parse it, put it in the package, and then give it us a Word document or whatever. Give us a CSV of the data, and consolidate it all to us and give it to us. That dude's highly valuable. If you know coding and you are an artist, check this out. My freaking kid knows how to do coding. Is making a game, drawing the sprites, making a game that animates the sprites. And so if you know coding and you know you're an artist, that's another thing. I mean, you can literally make a whole game, put it out there, and do your thing. And then what's another one? Oh, if you know math and you know coding, so though that's your cryptography guys, your crypto analysts. So crypto analysts, guys who create actual cryptography, are the guys who are really good at math proofs and then also know how to code. So they'll code a dude like Bruce Schneier. So this guy, he's the dude who invented Two-Fish. Two-Fish is a real high level cryptographic module. And then all those guys who did RSA, the guys who invented SHA, those guys, they know coding and they know how to do math really good. Well, so any combination of coding and another skill set, man, is freaking fire. I believe the dudes who created firewalls, it was a Jewish dude. I want to say it was somebody from Israel created the firewall, the first concept of a legit firewall. And that guy, I'm sure, knew computers and how to code. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah. So if you know how to do both those things, that's amazing. Let me see. David Gerton says, "Hey Bruce, a little late today, but I've written a bunch of short stories for my son based on all the things like likes with help from ChatGPT. Do you have any tools that can create covers?" Oh man, I'm really heavy into writing right now. I would say, David, number one, if you're going to use ChatGPT to write stories or write anything, I use it quite a bit myself. Make sure you check the plagiarism. There's tools that you can use, like Grammarly can do it. Take anything you wrote, take the draft that you wrote and run it through Grammarly to see what, because the problem with ChatGPT and all the other AIs is that they take so much stuff from other people's writing, and then some of it's can be seen as plagiarism. So just what I do is like put it in there, get it back, and rewrite it. Go through and rewrite it. Put in your own knowledge, your own flavor of writing, right? So that's one thing. That's a big one. That's a big one because ChatGPT is really bad about that. Tools that you can use to create covers. There's a couple. So one is called Midjourney, which is also an AI tool. Midjourney is really good. You have to buy the subscription for it, if you buy the subscription, it doesn't how you can use it for commercial use if you buy the subscription. So, and then there's a couple other tools that do art. There's Dolly, Midjourney, and there's a few other ones that can create a cover for you. What I use for covers, I use Fiverr. I'll draft out a design because I'm not an artist. I work my kid knows how to draw. I was like, hey, what do you think about this? Or I'll have them make one for me, and then I will give it to a designer on either Fiverr, Upwork, or 99 Designs. 99 Designs is the best, but it's going to cost you like $300. But they give the best designs. If you look at my books right now, pick out any one of my best covers, and it's probably 99 Designs. I'll give them an idea like, hey, I want this, I want that, I want this color, that color, and then they come back with something dope, and I'm like, okay, this works, So that's another thing you can do for designs. Canva is a good tool for like the formatting of the cover, and then another tool that I use the most is probably Photoshop. I use Photoshop a lot but normally I just pay somebody else to do it. I've gotten into the habit of just paying other people, getting contractors to do stuff that I'm not good at. And another thing is once you do your book, I know a lot about this because I've done I don't know, I'm on my 10th book now. So another thing is formatting. Make sure you get it formatted, your book formatted. Let me see. I got some other questions here. On YouTube, somebody says, how do we get projects for GRC? I can't find many resources. This is why my course does really good, because there's not many resources for this. Projects. There's not many projects I can think of. There's not any projects I can think of unless they're for a company and they're charging like $300. They're usually charging like $3,000 a pop to do those kinds of things. Resources. There's tons of resources online for GRC stuff. And GRC, we're talking about security compliance frameworks, NIST 800, NIST security, NIST cybersecurity framework. We're talking about PCI compliance. We're talking about HIPAA compliance. How a dope project would be if they said, okay, they gave you a scenario and said, okay, hospital X has 3 buildings and a nursing home, and they're always collecting personally identifiable information. How would you write a policy for them? What kinds of documents would you have them create to protect the data of their clients? And then you go through a HIPAA cybersecurity program where you have a policy, and then you'd break down. I should probably make this. Now I'm thinking about it. I thought about it. I had some partners, and we were like doing a whole skit and everything. We got like 3 videos in, and then they bailed on me. It was dope too. I can't even post it. It was dope. It was showing what an actual situation would look like if you were a GRC professional and you're talking to a client. It was actually doing like anyway. So there's tons of resources. If you're doing PCI DSS, there's a PCI DSS site that you can go to that has a bunch of downloadable templates, a breakdown of how you do it, everything. For NIST 800, they've got the same thing. You can find templates. You can find, hell, you can get templates straight off my site for free. You can get tons of documents on how to do it. It tells you how to do it and has templates on how to do it. But there's no like projects. They'll say, okay, Diamond, I want you to make me a policy for this hospital. I've been thinking about doing something like that, but it's going to take me a long time, and I really want to finish my writing. So I'm really serious about writing right now, but I've been thinking about doing like something where I could walk people through, how you would talk to a CIO or how you would talk to a manager. And but projects that are out there, no, there's none that I can think of off the top of my head. Not for GRC stuff. That's why I've been thinking about doing one myself online, because that'd be kind of cool. Let me see how it goes. Okay, let me see. I got some questions from TikTok. Somebody said, my program is a cybersecurity and information assurance. Is that feasible for GRC? Yeah, absolutely. That's hot. That's hot. Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do for GRC type stuff. That's the kind of stuff. So GRC is a lot of writing. It's a lot of seeing the big picture and then bringing the company together to do a cybersecurity program and then to manage that cybersecurity program, their processes, their procedures, and their policies. So that's why like a program that's doing cybersecurity or information assurance is great for that, because you're going to do writing. They're going to always think about the big picture and about the organization's security posture and give you different scenarios. And those are the kinds of things that GRC people do. That said, though, even if you're doing computer science, as I said before, they'll take a person who does computer science or who does an information technology degree or whatever. Because I have an information technology degree. I don't have a computer security science. I don't have a computer science. I don't have a cybersecurity information assurance degree. My degree is information technology, and I've been doing GRC stuff for 20 years. So, but yeah, it's cybersecurity information assurance is really, really good for that, because that's exactly what they're teaching you to do. Let me see here. Somebody is promoting Jason Dion, Professor Messer, Mike Myers, YouTube, and Udemy. Those are all great resources for entry level stuff. Is there a future in cybersecurity? That is a crazy question. Yes, there's a huge future for cybersecurity. Think about it. Everything is going towards information technology. Everything we do more and more. Think about how much time you spend on your phone. Think about how much time you spend on your computer, on your phone, for entertainment. All of these things that you're using, your banking, your DMV, everything that you use is all based on information technology. And you think we're going to go further in that direction or less? It looks like more. For better or for worse, that's the direction we're going. That said, we need to protect our data. Like if you're a gamer, you need to protect your accounts on that system. If you're on TikTok, we need to protect our information. If you're on YouTube, we need to, there has to be IT professionals, cybersecurity professionals on each one of these platforms. So, yes, there's a future in cybersecurity, a huge future, and they're always going to need it. And then some people are, well, what if AI takes our jobs? So AI is not there yet. And right now, from what I've seen, it's a great tool for writing. It's a great tool for figuring out code and regular expression and scripting. It's a great tool for these things, but it's not a replacement for a human. And a lot of times it plagiarizes things. It's literally taking information from other people and then rehashing it. It's rephrasing it, rehashing it, and putting it in its own thing. Not to say it's not legit. It's incredible. It's a great tool, but it's a tool. It's not a replacement just yet. Maybe one day, right? In science fiction futures, yeah, I could see maybe that's a possibility. It's terrifying, actually. I could see how good it can get, but it's not there yet. That's for sure. What do you think about Cybrary and IT labs? Cybrary is good. I've used Cybrary is really good. IT labs I've never used before, but Cybrary is really, really cool. really good entry level stuff all the way up to more complex advanced stuff. Actually, I almost put my stuff on Cyber 8 one time. I almost taught there. Would you recommend getting a information technology or cybersecurity degree? Information technology is what I have, and it's doing pretty good for me. Either one will do. If you have a choice between the two, cybersecurity will probably be better, I think. Information assurance, it depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to do, it's like somebody said, I'm trying to get into cybersecurity. I'm trying to do information assurance. I'm trying to do GRC stuff. Yeah, cybersecurity is where you want to go. If you're a generalist and you don't know right now, you don't know if you want to do networking, you don't know if you want to do databases, you kind of like coding, maybe you want to be a manager or a director or something, then information technology, because you don't really know where you want to go just yet. And that's kind of where I was when I first started. What Google Security Plus would Google Security Plus only would get you help desk jobs with that alone? I think what you mean is, would Google Security or Security Plus only get you a help desk job? Would it only give you a help desk job? Only give you a security. You really, Alan, you're really gonna need like a help. You're gonna need experience at some point. And I'm not telling you don't get a Security Plus. I'm not telling you just not to get any kind of certification. Certifications are great, but you also, the other side of that coin is to get a security experience, is to get IT experience. And now you're probably thinking, well, how do I get a job? How do I get the experience if they only want a person with experience? There are jobs that require no experience. You just got to look for them. So if you go to Indeed.com, I think Indeed and what's the other site? Dice. They have a way for you to get a position that doesn't require experience. You got to look for them. They don't pay very well, but you got to get your foot in the door. Yeah, somebody said, generic username says, Alan, you can get some help desk roles with no creds. Yep, with no credentials. You can't. They exist. They're hard to get. They're usually local to a certain area. Sometimes they require you to travel around. Sometimes they're not going to pay very well. But you got to start somewhere. And then what you do is, what I would do if I were you, is I would get my degree or certification while I'm getting my I would get the experience while I'm getting the certification. I'm a web developer and I want to transition into cybersecurity. That's awesome. So you already have some experience. What you might want to consider is there a way for you to do security for your web developing clients or for the company you currently work for? There might be a way for you to get into security at the place you work for, or offer that as a service to your clients. Because I could tell you, so I've had a few websites, and one of the problems I have is my WordPress sites. They're just a target, man. So a lot of clients, I'm sure, they're targeted and they're not updating their plugins for their Word site. So you can offer that if you're a web developer and you already offer that service, one thing you might want to do is say, look, I'm a web developer, but I also do security. And I charge X for security and X for web development. Not only will I develop your website, but I'll also secure it, and I know how. Because the back end piece, that certain files on the back end are vulnerable. So that would be a way for you to get yourself in the door as a cybersecurity expert, because you as a web developer know there's certain things you don't do on a website that are going to make it so that you're like, if you give too many permissions on certain folders within the website, that's not good. If you don't have good basic things, like if you don't have good credentials, you don't have good password, username, password, if you don't have MFA on the back end for an admin, that's another thing that you could offer to do an evaluation gap analysis on somebody's website. Fancy word for, I'm going to look at all the security features of your web page and figure out how can we update this. And you might come back with a report that says, okay, we need to update all of your plugins. We need to remove these ones because these are already been compromised. We need to go through all your pages on there, and we need to make it so there's read only because they don't need to be able to execute on this or whatever, right? I'm just making shit up, but that's what I'm saying. These the cascading style sheets are no good. Like, we need to fix this because this is outdated. You have PHP that's outdated. We need to fix this. You would give them the full report, and then you can put that on your resume. So that's what I mean. Like, if you know how to code, this is a golden opportunity for you. If you know how to code, like, you can use that. That's one of the things you could do to leverage you already know cybersecurity. You just got to, and then you could do a security plus on the side. Be like, I have a security plus I'm a web developer. I don't know, man. That's sounds like a good business to me. Let me see. How many years of help desk do you recommend? And how do you move on to security position after? Good help desk position kind of depends on the help desk job. Not all help desk positions are the same. If you're at a very high paced environment, a large environment, let's say you had like 10,000 systems and you had a mixed mode environment, you had some Linux systems in there, and you had some Word or some Windows systems in there, and you had some Mac OS systems in there, and you were fixing all of them, and you were not only doing like fixing applications that are broke, but you're also fixing the networking piece. Like, you were making sure that it was connected to the network. So you had to go into the back end and make sure that the interfaces are matching up and have the right IP addresses. If you're doing something like that and you've done it, shit, you wouldn't really need that much experience. You'd need maybe 6 months of doing that, and then you would have a amazing amount of experience. But if you were in a smaller environment of about 10 computers and they were all Windows systems, and they don't allow you to really mess with a lot, and all you're doing is fixing 2 or 3 apps on the operating system, you're not really doing any background stuff, you probably need more time. You'd probably need more time to like really develop. Really, what you're looking for is not so much years as you want things you can put on your resume. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to put things like that you created accounts, username, password accounts, or multi-factor authentication accounts. You turn on and off, or you review the audit logs. You want to put things on there like this is if you were trying to be a cybersecurity person. This damn cat is old, and he'll just bite the shit out of me if I ignore him. Okay, what? Okay, you need to get the hell out of here. Go. Get out of here. So I'll be talking. I'll be on a meeting at my job, and this fucking guy will just bite the shit out of me because I'm ignoring him. So anyway, it depends on what you're doing, and really it's not about the number of years or months. It's really about how much you can put on your resume from that job. And then another thing I would say is, one thing they do look at is if you're hopping from job to job. This has hurt me before. When they look at my resume and they see that I've hopped from job to job, and all these jobs were lower than 2 years, they usually ask me about it. I'm help desk for 18 months, no prior experience in IT. I make 53, and I'm interested in project management. Well, that's great, man. James, have you considered doing doing a PMP. Yeah, PMP would be a great step in the right direction. And you have IT experience. That's awesome. Do you work from home? Yes, I do. I've been working from home for like 7, 8 years now. 7 years? Something like that. I've done several different jobs working from home. Hey, Bruce, could you answer my question on YT? What? What question on YT? Oh, okay. Hey, Bruce, where and what position should I be applying to intern if I'm interested in security, specifically cloud security? That would help me gain experience so that I could become a security engineer when I graduate. So what I would do is, number one, look at your college's programs. Sometimes they'll have worker student programs. One of my viewers, he did this exact thing, and he's working for the school. And because of that, he's been doing it for like a couple years or whatever. So when he's done with when he graduates, he'll be able to put that on his resume and say, "Yep, I've been working for the University of Phoenix for 15 months, for 2 years, whatever have you, and we imaged 400 systems, and we greatly affected the security of we've improved the security of the network at University of Phoenix." So you can do things like that. So first, look at your university's working student programs. I'm not saying that they're gonna pay you a bunch of money. Some people complain that, hey, they're using students as slaves or whatever. Listen, I'm telling you to do that to level up. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I'm just saying, just what you want to do is, first, number one, look at your company. Look at the organization, the actual university. See if they have student programs, student worker programs. Number two, sometimes that company, that university, I don't know why I keep calling it a company, that university they'll have these collaborations with certain companies in the local area. It's getting so crazy that one of my kids' high school was doing this. They had coordination with local companies, and they were hooking up kids. They were getting kids A+ certifications. This is insane. And then letting them work at these, come in and like check out how it all works, and then go from high school when they graduate over to a vocational on-the-job training. This is high school. Now, colleges definitely have this. You got to look at the bulletin boards, go into the administration office. They have all these collaborations with local companies that will allow you to go from a student to work at this other company here. And that's how they have the apprenticeships and the internships. Other than that, the government has like hundreds and hundreds of different interns. The U.S. government right now, if you are a student, has hundreds and hundreds. Go to Google, type in government internships. They send this shit to me all the time. I have not put this in my newsletter just yet, but I will. They send this shit to me all the time. Like the Department of State is looking for IT professionals. They're not asking for you to be a 20-year vet like myself. They're just looking for anybody because they can't get young people to get in these jobs. U.S. younger people do not want these damn jobs. They do not want these. I'm telling you, they do not want these jobs. And they're looking for you. And there's just this huge gap that's happening because the boomers are starting to retire. People over 50, over 60 plus, 55, those guys are retiring. So there's this huge gap that's opening up, and there's all these jobs for what I'm talking about. And the last 4 or 5 positions I've had, we always have a shortage of people. We don't have enough people to do this work. And so I'm wearing 4 or 5 hats everywhere I go. They're always trying to get us to do more work. You get in the job and like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to have you help the SOC do analysts work. I'm like, isn't there a whole staff doing that? Oh, we can't do scans. Why? They're not hiring. They don't have enough bodies to do it. People don't know what the hell they're doing. Every place I've gone to, last 4 or 5 places has been like this. And if you know how to do anything, like, oh, hey, can you do this over here? One job I was at, they hired me to do risk management framework, GRC stuff. And then they had me doing, because nobody else could do it, I was doing the SIEM. I was managing the SIEM. And that wasn't even in my job description. Every place I go to, this happens. So it's because we don't have enough people to do this job. So number one, look at the college, see if they have a working students program. Number two, sometimes we'll have collaboration. You got to look for it. You got to go to the admin staff and go and ask them. They'll have a list of it. Sometimes they're just really bad at advertising it to students, and they come and go. These things come and go. They come and go all the time. Most colleges have this stuff. So don't sit here and tell me, well, I don't know. No, most college, I told you, my kids' high school had this. So community colleges have it, universities have it, state colleges have it. You got to look for it. You got to be aggressive. Go to the admin, be like, I'm looking for a student worker program. I'm looking for a student aid work program. I'm looking for, do we have any collaborations for IT professionals with companies? I'm trying to get in there. Look for that. But also you can just go to Google and type in government internships IT. You will find, I'm going to look at that right now. Government internships IT. They had a summit for this like a year ago. That's why I'm telling you this is a real thing here. And I'm looking here. Let me see. Contract specialist, planner, labor, Lakewood. These are all my local area. Let me see if I can change the location. Anywhere. Yeah, let me show you my screen here. If you happen to be watching me on YouTube. So I just went to, all I did was go to YouTube. Google. I just typed Google. I typed in government internships IT, and look at all of these jobs. Here's a digital forensics intern. That's a pretty good job. That's in DC. Now, a lot of times they'll be local. They're not going to be, you got to look in your local area. Administrative college internship, intern to youth administrator, advisor. Santa Ana, California. We're looking for IT. Tier 2. Now, this doesn't look like a internship. Here's one. Research and data intern. Nope, that's not one. Supply chain assist for intern. I don't know how relevant that is for what we're trying to do, but look at this. Pathways Government Intern Program, Student Trainee, Seattle, Pathways. Government Relations Intern. Paid intern. This is just Google. There's one in Washington, D.C. Deloitte, Government, Public. Yeah, I don't know if that one's relevant. You just got to look through these, but they have these on Dice, on YouTube, on Dice, on Monster, on search Google, on Indeed.com, on LinkedIn. They're all over the place. These jobs are there. You just got to look for them. They're not going to be, it's not going to be perfect. You got to keep looking for them. Right, because a lot of times they want them to be in your local area. Sometimes they're coming and going, so you got to look for the ones that are relevant within the last at least 30 days, I'd say, probably 14 days. You're going to constantly look for them. Sometimes if they're really good ones, it's going to be competitive. Other people are going to apply for them. Why is it so difficult to find a simple help desk job? Got to be aggressive. This field right here is not. This is not you're not gonna just walk in and then see a help wanted sign and then sign up, right? This is different. There's a huge learning curve here. There's a learning curve, and then it's competitive. The jobs that are legit are competitive. It's going to have several people who are trying to get in there. That's why what I do is, for me, it's a numbers game. I don't just post one thing and I don't give up. What I do is, first of all, I look at the market and I match myself with what the market is wanting. Then I put my resume everywhere and I apply. I do it passive and active. Passively, I put my resume everywhere. So employers and technical recruiters are looking for me. Then when they contact me, I'm evaluating them. Like, first of all, is this legit? Second of all, are you guys going to pay enough? Like, what's your range? Like, where are you guys at? Is it remote? How much, travel is it? Should we even talk any further? No, I don't want the job. I send it to somebody else, So that's the passive side. The active side is I'm constantly applying for jobs that I'm going to qualify for. I'm constantly applying. And I just do that. That's my job. If you don't have a job, your job should be to apply for jobs. It is hard to find these jobs because the good ones are competitive. And then they're going to be local. Like, a lot of times the lower jobs are not going to be online, remote jobs. It's going to be a local job that you got to go drive to. And then that local job be like, okay, we want you to hit these 3 sites or whatever, field tech, so the entry level part is going to be like, you're going to have to pay some dues here. You have to pay some dues, meaning you have to. That's what I had to do. I had to pay dues to get in this field. This is not a normal. It pays. It does really well once you get to a certain level, but in the beginning, it's going to be difficult. They have some entry level, Eddie. They have some entry level stuff you can get your foot in. Be warned, they are generally jobs. Yeah, there's a price to pay to get in. There's a price to pay to get in, but once you get your foot in the door and you start leveling up and using the leverage, that's why I say this is not for everybody. It's not get rich quick. I'm just being honest with you guys. This is not. It took me a while to get to the level that I'm at, but is it worth it? It's worth it. It's been worth it. It's been stable. I'm always in demand because the field is hot. It's always been hot. This is the direction humanity is going in. Good, bad, or indifferent. This is the direction we're going in. Everything's IT based. Everything's interconnected. Everything's, so there's a great incentive to do this, but once you get in, it's pretty solid. It's been pretty solid. It's been taking care of me, my kids. I've been able to do a lot of great things with this field. I owe a lot to it. And I think that's it, guys. I forgot to shut my door. So this guy is, look at this guy. Look at him. Look at this guy. What do you want? Huh? Really? You want food? What is it? Okay, let's see where he goes. All right, with that, guys, I'm out of here. Say bye, church. Hey, come here. Oh my gosh, what is he doing? All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot. I'm going to try, once again, I'll try to do one tomorrow. I get burned out from these, and I got so many things. I've got so many books I'm writing and stuff like that I'm doing in the background. That stuff takes me time to do. So that's what I do on Saturdays and Sundays normally. So I can normally only squeeze out one of these. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I am out of here. See you for sure next week. But I'm going to try to do one tomorrow too. Peace.